Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I got this cool lens for the Fujifilm X mount. We are talking about the TTartisans 17mm f1.8 for the Fujifilm X mount. And this is such a needed focal length in amongst the sea of third-party lenses. Everybody was making the same lenses for, the Fujifilm X mount, especially the third-party brands. You got all these third-party brands, doing the 35mm, the 23mm, and like the 56mm, the traditional prime focal lengths for the APS-C cameras. So I was just getting bored of that because everybody was sending me the same focal length for me to review, and then I just got a little bit boring because they all make great lenses. They all do different things. They all look different in terms of like image quality and stuff like that. But overall, they like the images that you get from these lenses are spectacular for the price. For me, it just got a little bit stale just reviewing. Like if I have one brand sending me like a 35mm, next time another brand will send me the same focal length, and it just got redundant in that sense. But I appreciate TTartisans for stepping outside of that, or being the first to step out of this. I don't know if there's anyone that has done this yet, perhaps Viltrox, but another lens like this doesn't hurt. And the 17mm in full frame is a 24mm full frame equivalent, and it's a lens that I don't use often, but I do appreciate because I really like the Fujifilm's lens, the 16mm f1.4, the legendary lens. I thought that lens was amazing. And I thought, since this is a 17mm, it's like it still would be like really, really wide, and like 1mm off doesn't really do much of a difference for me. So I was thinking that, yeah, this could be that wide angle lens that I use, especially here in Vietnam, because sometimes when I use the 35mm full frame lens of 35mm equivalent lens, it is a little bit tight for certain areas. So because Ho Chi Minh is so populated, so dense, it's so big, I just thought I needed something wider. And then this is where this lens comes in handy if you guys want to, just show the scope of the city. And I thought this lens does a really, really good job. And since this lens is a 17mm f1.8 lens, I thought it was going to be bigger than what it is. This thing is freaking tiny, because I was thinking it could be chunky like the 16mm f1.4, but it's really not. At f1.8, at 17mm, it is a very pocketable lens, and I do like that because I'm traveling around the city right now with the Fujifilm X-S20 and this lens only, and I'm documenting the photos here. Just taking pictures, walking around the streets of Ho Chi Minh while I'm here, and I like it because like some of the shots you could see the chaos, you could see like the scale, and you just get to see like how immersive this lens feel when you're out shooting with it. So I really, really like that. It is an autofocusing lens. It doesn't have a rubber gasket seal, so it's not like weather sealed or anything like that. So you just got to be mindful of where you're taking this. And it does have, the contacts, so you can get those EXIF data. And then at the front, it is a 52mm filter thread size. For a wide angle lens, I think this lens is very pocketable. So we gotta talk about the autofocus. I thought it did well for single points, like in and out. It did its job. The image quality, I feel at f1.8 isn't sharp. It's quite soft. If you look at some of these like close-up shots that I took, you can see how soft it looks. There's a character to it that I do enjoy, but if you're looking for something a little bit more with a little bit more sharpness, I think at f1.8, this is not going to be the lens for you. However, once you stop it down to f2.8, f4, the lens does perform like any other modern lens out there, and it does the job really well. When it comes to chromatic aberration and fringing, I do see a little bit of it, but it's not the end of the world. Another thing is the flaring. I think the flaring on this is um there's some flaring once you shoot in backlight, so that's why you should use the pedal hood that it comes with to block any of that sun out if you can. or just be mindful of where the sun is hitting the lens at a certain angle. What I appreciate about this lens is like the compact size of it. Like Ho Chi Minh is freaking hot. There's like a heat wave going on here. Like there's been a heat wave for 2 weeks now. Like it's been like 35 degrees Celsius plus for like 3 weeks. And I did not want to lug around like a heavy gear at all. So I just want something light for my Fujifilm X-S20. I'm not gonna be carrying my backpack with me or like even my full frame setup. I was walking around with the XS20 and this lens, the TTartisans 17 millimeter, and I thought, it was fine. It was great for what I wanted it to do. Just just capture like the entire scene that is here in the city. This city is freaking chaotic, man. Like it's just so hard to just capture everything, and sometimes, you know, you can either get close and focus on a certain subject, or you can get an ultra wide lens like this and then just shoot the entire chaos. And that's what I was trying to do with this lens right here. And I do enjoy the photos that are coming out of this lens. You do get some interesting bokeh when you use minimum focusing distance with this lens, and I think, yeah, the minimum focusing distance on this lens is 18 centimeters. So that's really close. So you can get some interesting semi macro shots. And again, if you do get that close at f1.8, it's not gonna be it's not gonna be that sharp. It's gonna be soft, but just stop it down and then you'll be fine. But other than that, this lens is coming in around $145, I believe. So it is a fairly affordable lens. If you need an ultra wide lens and you find that, the ultra wide lens market right now, it's a little bit expensive. You got like like the 16 millimeter f1.4, which is like what, like 900 bucks still. You got the 18 millimeter f1.4 for Fuji. These are all native brands, and that's about like $1,000. And then you also got like the 18 millimeter f2, and that's like what, 400 or 500 bucks. But again, it doesn't go wider than an f2. So if you need something that's like affordable, it has a decent enough aperture at f1.8, perhaps you can get some astrophotography with this as well. I don't do astrophotography, so I don't use it for that. However, I did do some low light shots with this at f1.8, and I thought, yeah, f1.8 around this city is good enough to get decent night shots. So if you guys are interested in this lens, I'll leave the links down in the description below for you guys to check out. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. What do you guys think of this lens right here, the TTartisans 17 millimeter f1.8? I think it's a funny lens to use, and I'm so glad that TTartisans sent me this for this trip, because it was either this or use my Viltrox 13 millimeter f1.4 to go around and shoot everything here. But then, the 13 millimeter is just way too heavy to be lugging around in this heat wave, and I get really pissy when I walk in the heat. So I just need something to be as minimal and as lightweight as I can. So I'm glad that they sent me this lens to use around the city. There you have it, guys. Consider subscribing for more YouTube content, and thanks so